Thanks for joining us for this edition of Local Focus, the regional magazine show that features community stories that we hope will entertain, inform, and perhaps even inspire you. I'm Rama K. Ramaswamy. Today we look at arts and culture in our towns, a world-class writer who can teach us about writing, traditional community theater in Needham, and a non-traditional storytelling form in Wellesley. All these and more are available right around us to enjoy. First, we look at a beautiful gallery space that was created out of Belmont's Old Town Hall, annexed after renovations in 2005. The Belmont Gallery of Art is located at the top floor of the Homer Municipal Building, and the current exhibit includes over 30 local artists. Belmont Media profiles one of them, a retired aerospace engineer turned metal sculptor. Let's watch.
Well, the way it started is that I was about to retire, and I was thinking of something to do after retirement. And what I did, I took a welding course at the Minuteman High School in the evening. And I remember one evening during the course, I was playing with some triangles, a triangle piece of steel, and something like this. And I weld them together in a certain way and said, wow, this looks beautiful. Maybe something like this, Ian. This is Innocenza. This is the second sculpture, which you will see outside in the garden later on. And this is a scaled model of the one outside. Again, is made of 4 pieces, 4 triangles. They are arranged in such a way that you get a different view from different angles.
Tell us about this.
This is Innocenza, and you saw the scaled model in the inside before. Again, it is installed by using the brackets. The brackets define the angular position of the plates, and by removing these screws, you can disassemble the plates and again carry them away. This is actually the first one which I built. It's called the Big B. And it's the really breadboard is the prototype of it.
The what?
Prototype.
Yeah.
Or the model, and the wings there are made of aluminum outside. The idea is to make the wings as light as possible in weight, and it really works for the wind. This can be used as a windsock. So this sculpture will point the direction of the wind.
Then you also have a big one right outside the window on your right outside of your bedroom. There's I don't know, it's at least as big, and it's also of animal form.
Well, yes, that's a penguin. It's an emperor penguin. The sculpture is about 7-8 feet tall, and because it's an emperor penguin, I decided to give it an appropriate name. His name is Pompeius. Well, I was an engineer. I was a full-time engineer. I was in aerospace engineering, mostly at MIT and Lincoln Laboratory, and then eventually retired from Raytheon, doing pretty much the same thing. Is in guidance systems of missiles and rockets and the like. And I enjoyed it very much. I didn't realize that even in engineering, I was very creative. I didn't realize that until I started to put these steel shapes together.
Have you ever wanted to write a memoir, a crime thriller, or nonfiction maybe? Who better to teach you than a journalist turned biographer turned teacher? Award-winning writer Charlene Smith is all those things, and now she invites you to join her in a writer's salon right here in Wellesley. Let's take a look.
I started my career as a journalist, covered conflict, politics, in South Africa. I'm South African born. Worked for CBS 60 Minutes, BBC, doing television documentaries, ABC Nightline, other organizations like that. And then wrote my first book in 1996. I'd never ever thought of writing a book, but I was approached and asked to write a book, so I wrote it, and was published very quickly. And then I was asked to write a book about Nelson Mandela, who I knew very well. So became Mandela's one of his authorized biographers. There's 3 of us. And since that, I've written 14 books, mostly nonfiction. I'm working on a novel at the moment. I've contributed chapters to a dozen more books. I've ghostwritten 8 books, working on my 9th ghost-written book. I'm busy. I love this library. I think it's an absolutely exceptional library. And I've come to some talks and workshops here and sort of looked through and thought they never seem to have anything on writing. So suggested it, and they got back to me and they suggested I do a winter workshop, which I've done, and I think it's been rather successful. I've got wonderful students, and they've asked me to do another one next winter as well, and then I'll be teaching at Wellesley Rec as well. A lot of writing courses, I've been obviously on a lot of writing courses, but a lot of them just focus on peer review. I think that's wasting your time because it's like the blind leading the blind. So I teach them a lot about technique, narrative arc, and all the various techniques that there are in writing, whether or not it's fictional, non-fictional, script writing.
I have been doing creative nonfiction or memoir writing for just a couple of years now. And when I came to Wellesley several years ago, I was looking for a community of writers. When I saw the announcement for this, I thought that it was a great opportunity to have some people to write with, but to also learn from someone who was very serious about it.
I saw a flyer that was published here, and it was called a writing salon, and I thought, oh, that sounds interesting. So I called up and asked about it and decided this was something I wanted to do. Well, Charlene is very good at, showing us what is important about writing and giving us a lot of examples and making us do the work, showing evidence of work.
I also try and encourage them to learn about research and learn different things and become confident and excited about what they're doing and excited about life and people. And I think that writing can be transformative.
In addition to providing space for the Writers' Salon, the Wellesley Library recently hosted a talk on a different form of storytelling, making comics, and Wellesley Media was there.
My grandfather told me when I was young, some people as they get older, they just stop doing creative things, but keep doing creative things, and I just took that to heart, and I've always tried to do that.
And what we're getting at here, remember, if we're cartooning and we're drawing comics, we're drawing things that have a story to them, that have a before and an after, or a beginning, middle, end, or some kind of structure.
Yeah, I remember sitting with my dad and drawing, and then in high school, I didn't draw that much because I didn't have models of people drawing. So that's partly why I do these classes, so that people see an adult who draws and tells stories. A single workshop like this, I really focus on where our ideas come from, and for everybody that's different, and how we play out those ideas, and again, that's different for everybody. And then a really important step is how you prepare your idea for somebody else to understand it.
Weston Media visited a wonderful gallery recently. Nowhere Everywhere is the story of the Thompson Gallery located at the Cambridge School of Weston. Their exhibit currently is Nowhere Everywhere, featuring the work of artist Raul Gonzalez III.
My name is Todd Bartel. I'm the director and founder of the Thompson Gallery, which is located at the Cambridge School of Weston in Weston, Massachusetts. We are in our 9th year, and we are known for focusing on 3 exhibitions that examine a single theme each year. So the Cambridge School of Weston has been located in Weston since the 1930s. We are a boarding and day school with a focus on issues of social justice, issues of student governance, issues of democracy. As a teaching gallery, one of the goals of the space is to provide a platform for our students to interact with artists.
I was absolutely thrilled when I found out from Todd Bartel that this exhibition would be coming to the Thompson Gallery in January, because it ties in so beautifully with so many of the themes that we talk about in our Spanish classes here at the school. Some of those themes range from social justice to immigration, corruption in government, and the gang problem in Central America.
My museum and where I went to get my weekly fix for art was the local 7-Eleven. But there was this wonderful tower right as you walked in, and you could spin this tower around from left to right. And on the very top it said, "Kids, read comics." And then so I would take these books home, copy them. And so that was my early education with art, was learning how to draw from all of these different artists who drew in so many different styles, just copying constantly.
He's given us an opportunity to finally view art and the world around us from our perspective, and that perspective being of the underrepresented groups. I think having Raul has allowed us to use art as a means of having meaningful conversations around social justice, and also using art as a way of combating social justice.
We turn now to musical talent showcased in our communities. Attendees of the 5th Annual Music Fest were treated to a wide range of music styles. The Friends of Watertown Music hosted their annual fundraiser to support music in Watertown schools. Performers included amateurs and professionals of all ages, even a few town officials who lent their talents and expertise to the cause. Let's take a look.
Some nights I stay up, cashing in my bad luck. Some nights I call it a
Music Fest is when all the community comes together, and everyone who is in a band, does vocal stuff, plays an instrument, comes and performs, and the money that we raise tonight goes towards funding the program because it's expensive. This is actually my first year doing it, and it was interesting to see that there was classical music, there was jazz, there was serious music and sad, and there was punk music.
It was a lot of fun. This is the 4th year that my son and I have played together, and it's a great event. A lot of people come out, showcase their talents, have some fun, and raise money for the Watertown Public Schools music program. It's great because, people can let their hair down and have some fun. It's obviously a good way for people to perform and show off the talents that they have. There's a lot of kids in Watertown, and a lot of adults too, that have some really great talent, so it's nice to show that off, and people can come out and have some food, music, get some t-shirts, and just have a lot of fun.
I think it's important because now a lot of schools are taking music and art out, and I think it gives kids an outlet to express themselves and be themselves when they really can't. The courses we do at school are this is for testing, and now we get something that we can be ourselves and we feel good about it. We make something, it's art.
Well, I started at the Instrument Petting Zoo, which is one of my favorites because you get new children and adults interested in looking at instruments. And I have a teaching background, so it's just wonderful to see again that spark of interest and potential, see the excitement in the eyes of, what could I do with this instrument? And strings are so versatile, there's so many different things you can do, how you play them along, as well as solo, type of music, chamber music, so it's really fun.
I went to a few different rooms, and it's interesting to see the instruments people use, the different types of musical styles people are into and performing. You never know what you're going to get at Music Fest.
Music is more than just making music or listening to music. It develops you as a whole person. It's a community event, brings people together. And then also you want to tap into your culture or discover new cultures, new styles. It's the kind of thing that brings people together and builds community.
Another favorite musical event of ours is the Waltham Idol competition at the Boys and Girls Club. The performers are always amazing, and this year was no exception. Let's take a look.
Erasing myself from the narrative. Let future historians wonder how Eliza reacted when you broke her heart. You've torn it all apart, I'm watching it burn. I want you to stay.
But the love is dead now, and the memory's fading.
Close your eyes, let go where you long to be. Only then can you belong to me. One by day, one by day, you're gonna want me for your girl. When I see your face, there's not a thing that I would change. 'Cause girl, you're amazing, just the way you are.
And I'll rise like the day, I'll rise up. In spite of the ache, I'll rise up. And I do it 1,000 times again. And for you, for you.
Arts, writing, music, and we can't forget theater. Needham Community Theater celebrated their 60th anniversary by performing Forbidden Broadway, whose author performed with the Needham Theater in years past. The Needham Channel provided this awesome story. Let's take a look.
This year is the 60th anniversary of the Needham Community Theater. To celebrate, the NCT will perform an amalgamation of everyone's favorite Broadway musicals in a rendition of the parody musical Forbidden Broadway.
It's a show that isn't done very often, and it's very special for Needham because the author once performed in Needham Community Theater, and he's giving it to us as a gift for the 60th anniversary.
This one is especially exciting because we decided we wanted to do something really special, and we knew that there was a Needham man who had done a few shows with us who went to New York and made it big with Forbidden Broadway.
Gerard Alessandrini, who is the author, created it, I think it was about 30 years ago, and he and his friends just started making up satirical lyrics to different Broadway songs that were well known at the time when the shows were a hit. And it was a big hit in New York. They started doing a different version every year or every other year. The key is that these are all songs that people know. They're from well-known musicals, but the lyrics are not the same. We have a welcoming song, and then we start with different shows, and we do a song. Sometimes it's a medley of songs from a show, and different people will come out. They come out in costume. The costumes are have been loaned to us by the Forbidden Broadway production team, and they're pretty funny. We've got Annie, We have Lion King, a couple of numbers from Lion King, Cabaret, The Phantom of the Opera, Avenue Q. So there's quite a few, Oklahoma, so there's quite a few numbers that people will recognize. This show is the biggest earworm I have ever heard. I wake up every morning with a different song in my head. So I love all of them. I think they're hysterical, and I will sit in the back and laugh as hard as anybody else.
Before the performance on Friday night, April 1st, there will be a reception at 6 p.m. at the Needham Historical Society. Creator of Forbidden Broadway, Gerard Alessandrini, will be honored. All are welcome to come celebrate 60 years of local theater. Then, the NTC invites you to come enjoy the opening night of Forbidden Broadway at Newman Elementary.
Normally when they do it in New York, they do it with 2 men and 2 women. And we have 4 men and 4 women as leads. Then we have 2 people in the ensemble, and we have 4 kids who are playing kids' roles in Matilda and Mary Poppins and Oliver. So they get to do some of their own numbers as well. This cast has worked incredibly hard, and they've brought all of their own personalities into it. So they've done a great job.
For information on tickets and showtimes, you can visit needhamtheater.org. For the Needham Channel News, I'm Jillian Tedesca.
Important support for many creative groups in our area comes from the Massachusetts Cultural Council. Their local Cultural Council program is the largest grassroots cultural funding network in the nation. Arlington News tells us a bit about their local group.
Arts programs in Arlington are getting a boost from cultural grants. The Arlington Cultural Council recently awarded 17 cultural programs totaling $12,000. The council has been awarding grants to benefit cultural groups in Arlington since 1982. The ACC works with Massachusetts Cultural Council, which believes Massachusetts' future prosperity is closely tied to the creative economy. They report that as many as 27,000 people work in this sphere. Arlington Selectman Joe Curo congratulated this year's recipients, who include Opal Ensemble, which will present a concert intersecting music and the wintry photography of Arlington resident Ann Black. The Creek River String Band, who will perform live American roots music in Arlington. The Powers Music School, which will present a musical storytelling program for children at the Arlington Center for the Arts, and many more. APN looks forward to seeing these future engagements, and hopefully you at home will take part as well.
The Needham Masonic Lodge hosted a quilt show on April 1st and 2nd. They invited the Quinobequin Quilters Guild, who displayed over 160 amazing quilts. Their members come from Needham, Wellesley, Newton, Natick, and surrounding towns in Massachusetts.
This show we have around 160 quilts if you count the really small ones, and we have 55 different quilters represented from 15 different towns. It's kind of a tradition among quilt guilds. This is Quinobequin Quilters Quilt Guild, and we meet in Needham. It's a tradition, and most guilds do shows every once in a while, and it's partly to show our work to our friends and family and the public, but a lot of it is also to show our work to each other, because we have show and tells at every meeting where people hold up their quilts and talk about them a little bit, but we really don't get to get a good close look at them. And so one of the things that we enjoy about putting on a show is that we have the time to share our work with each other and to look at everybody else's work. Quilting is such a solitary thing for a lot of us. I mean, we do have weekends where we get together and people go to classes, but a lot of people are quietly working away by themselves and don't necessarily get to share it all. And one of the things I like about the show is that we get to see what everyone's been working on, and the community gets to see what we've been working on, because there are a lot of people in the guild. They don't have a sign that says artist on their front door, but here they are doing these beautiful works of art, and I think it's great to share it with the community. We have some people in the group who love to do traditional quilts using either reproduction fabrics or older fabrics. Some people like to make applique quilts where they're hand sewing down lots of little pieces in the design, and we also have people who make what we call art quilts, which are much more free-form and tend to be a little more representational of scenes that they'd like to recreate, or animals, or more like the way you would compose a piece of art. And we have everything in between. It's a very diverse group. Everyone has kind of their own interests, but we all support each other in whatever anybody is working on at the time. I learned to sew when I was young, and when my friends started having children, I decided to try to make baby quilts for them, and that's kind of how I got started. and I've just had a lot of fun with it, and I enjoy trying out all the various designs. And so everybody in this group has a story like that, where they started out maybe making a baby quilt or something small, and then they kind of got hooked. We have a lot of people here who are kind of addicted and just keep making more and more quilts because they enjoy doing it so much.
We can't close without acknowledging Patriots' Day. The very first shots of the Revolutionary War took place in Lexington, after all. And at 5:30 in the morning every year, the town stages a reenactment of the battle, followed by a parade. But if you weren't able to make it up that early this year, just watch this video and be inspired. I'm Rama K. Ramaswamy. Thanks again for joining us, and see you next time.